Salam Yuali. Swagat a lesson 4. That means peace, everybody. Welcome to lesson 4. As you can see, this is the 4th lesson in my series of videos on Lingwa de Planeta, otherwise known as Lidepla. If you're just coming in, you might want to take a look back at the first 3 videos that I did, so you'll have some of the background of what I'm talking about. As you may remember, at the end of the 3rd video, I was talking about adjectives. I was talking about quel worda. In other words, words that answer which or what kind of thing are you talking about. And there was something that I didn't actually cover yet. I did talk about pointing things out when I wanted to say things like this or that. And those words were say or toy. But those are used specifically when you're talking about a certain thing, like say kitaba, this book. Toy kitaba, that book. Dmitry Ivanov, who was one of the creators of Lidepla, put a comment on the last video, and I wanted to go ahead and address that. In English, we use this and that in more than one way. Of course, we use them in the sense that I just did, describing specific things. But we also use them in a more indefinite sense. When you're just talking about a situation, if you wanted to say something like, I enjoyed this, or I liked that, or I didn't like that. Okay. In English, they're the same words, but in Lidepla and in other languages too, there's different words for that. Okay, so if you want to talk about this in just a general sense, the word is se. Almost sounds like say. You know, it's just sort of a length thing, se versus say. And that means this in general. And if you want to say that in general, like that was funny, it almost sounds like toy, but it's just to. Okay. So we have se, se, and to, to. Okay. So you could say things like se escatado, this is a book. To escalan, that's a pen. Nothing too different or complicated about it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about that. But I just wanted to go ahead and clear that up. The other thing I mentioned was that I wanted to introduce a new zwoorda, a new action word, a new verb, and that is to think, which is dumi. And that comes most directly from Russian. In Russian it's just dumat, to think. And it almost sounds like dummy, but it's actually the opposite, right? If you're thinking about things, you're not a dummy. Okay. Now, you could say, I'm thinking, but normally you'd say that you're thinking about something. Okay. And the word for about, when you're using it in the sense of talking about a topic or a theme or subject, what is something concerned with, is Okay. This is really the second preposition that we've had. I haven't really pointed it out. We've been using a for to. Okay, so this is the second one, Okay, so dumi to think about. Okay. So you could say things like me dumi it, I'm thinking about it. Okay. You could also throw that into questions. You could say things like Quo you umi pardon. Quo you dumi se. What do you think about this? Quo you dumi te to. What do you think about that? Quo you dumi to. Okay. And then you might answer. Me pri se. I like it. I like this. Or me bu pri to. I don't like that. So nothing too difficult about that. So now I get dumi and dumi Now, me yao shuo colores. Now I want to talk about colors. Of course, colors are like any other adjective, any other quel word. They're used to describe or say what kind. Okay, so what I'm going to do is give the word and then a little mnemonic with it, a word with an object that has that color, and I'll have pictures up on the screen, so I won't need to provide the translations of them. Okay. course, you can always leave comments if something's not totally clear. So we have
Swate, swate, swate shapa, swate shapa. Blan, blan, blan badal, blan badal. Rude, rude, rude rubin, rude rubin. Green, green, green guitarra, green guitarra. Orange, orange, orange ornamenta, orange ornamenta. Blue, blue, blue bakak, blue bakak. Juan, Juan, Juan halka, Juan halka. Violette, violette, violette vino, violette vino.
So that's the basic colors. We can go more into depth later on if you want. There are other color words, it's not the whole set of them, but these are the basic ones, the ones that are going to get used a lot. Okay, and since they're like any other quell word, when you throw them into a sentence describing something, normally we'll put them in front of the quell word, the what word, the noun, and if the quell word is plural, you don't have to change the quell word. So you could say things like, you could say like, Swate Kataba, a black book. Okay. You could put it after the quell word if you wanted for emphasis or for poetic reasons, and people will understand you, but normally they go in front. Okay. Now another kind of describing word is actually numbers. We think of them as different, but really they get used to describe and say how many or how much. Okay, so we have a different word for that. The word for how many or how much is quanto. Really simple. You're familiar with the Spanish or Portuguese, of course. Quanto. So you could say, quanto kataba you have? How many books do you have? Okay. And then the word that's used for numbers, or how much words, how many words, is quanto worda. Okay. What I'm going to do for now is just go from 1 through 10. In the next lesson, I'll review those, and then we'll talk about how to do larger numbers, from 11 on up to pretty much as high as you want to go. It's actually a really simple system for bigger numbers. And I'll also talk about words that we don't really have a good name for in English, but they're sort of like quasi numbers, indefinite things like some, or a few, or a lot, or several. Actually, we've already had one of those without mentioning that that's what it is, and that was the word mucho, right? Many or a lot. Okay, we'll get into more of those. Okay. So let's start off with one, dua, two, dua, three, char, four, char, pet, five, pet, seat, six, seat, sim, seven, sim, oat, eight, oat, nin, nine, nin, and she, 10, she. Okay. All right. Like I said, I'll go over those again in the next lesson. Talk a little bit about where some of them come from and everything. Okay. In the next lesson, I'll also do dua nove zuo worda, 2 new verbs, 2 new action words, And those are going to be the words for to go and to come. So now we can get some movement going on. And I'll also do a couple of other prepositions, a little bit of direction words to talk about to and from, and also here and there. Okay, so this video is actually going to be a little shorter. I'm ready to wrap things up. Remember that we covered how to talk about this and that in an indefinite sort of sense, not pointing to any particular one thing. That was se and to. We introduced dumi and om, think and about, dumi om, to think about. We did basic colors, and we did the numbers 1 through 10. Okay, so as always, we love comments. Go ahead and leave those down below. If anything wasn't clear, please let me know. I'll clear it up in the next video. And that's about it for now. So thanks for watching, and until next time, swasti.